This is an unusual translation, but listen and you'll get a lot more meaning, I think. This is from Matthew 5:14 through 16. Here's another way to put it. You are here to be light, bringing out the God colors in the world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a light stand. Now that I've put you there on a hilltop, on a light stand, shine. Keep open house. Be generous with help to others. You'll prompt people to be open with God, our generous Mother Father in heaven.
That translation before? Some of you may recognize Matthew 5 as part of the Sermon on the Mount. Remember, in Matthew, it's important that Jesus be presented as Moses, the new Moses. So, of course, Jesus has to deliver his message on a mountain. That's part of Matthew's way of telling a story that people can appreciate. People can go from what's been past to what is new and yet make the connection, have the continuity. So Eugene Peterson did this work called The Message, of trying to get a little more colloquial and a little more up-to-date, to speak in a way we might recognize, and in so doing to translate this image. Salt and light. Salt and light. We'll get back to that. This is our month for stewardship, which means a lot more than just this is our pledge drive month. And if you listen to NPR, watch PBS, the pledge drive always comes up. And I have to be honest, I find myself going, oh, really? Pledge week? I was, like trying to tune into the news or something. But it's important. And so it's important for us. And even more important, that we connect that necessity for us having this organization together that holds this ministry, just like this building holds us right now. It's important we understand the depth of stewardship. And I've talked before about that. I didn't just pull out an old sermon and say, well, I'll just read that one. That was good enough. By this culture in general. And that's a piece I want us to get. You're swimming up against the current in several ways, but this is one of them. When we are a community of faith, and we are saying we are stewards, the current outside this building, the current outside communities of faith will not say, yeah, we're with you. We're right with you. The current out there will tell you, well, what's happening for you? How is your situation? Did you buy what you wanted? Did you get everything you needed? It's more based in the ego, based in the small self with a small s. That's the way that the American dream is understood so often in the mass media. In this community of faith, we have clear stories that tell us, you did not create this world, and it doesn't belong to you. We also have stories that say, it's awesome that you're here, and you're welcome. But the steward identity is understanding that it's all part of the whole. It belongs to God, as the Psalms say. It belongs to life itself. And the steward's job is to understand that. Till and keep the garden. Care for it. If you're a parent, you know something about this. You know something about this already. Because you have that sense built in. That there are these children. There are these threads of life that will come after me, that are already here. And so you're already beginning that journey outside the self. You don't have to be a parent to know that. It just sort of puts you in that situation right away. So this morning I want us to turn to this image that's at the center of our table as we keep that steward identity in mind, the campfire. I do want to do a poll. How many of you know the song, "Put Another Log on the Fire"? Thank you. Not everybody knows it. I was talking to our stewardship team saying, we're going to do this thing. We're going to sing that song, "Put another log on the fire." They start humming it and singing it. Nancy, who grew up in Central America, is humming it and singing it. Thank you, others who are totally unaware of this song. I look forward to hearing it soon. Not today. So we have this image because we've talked about it as an aspect of membership in this church. That the church is not a gatekeeper, the church is a campfire. And those coming into membership are simply saying, I'd like to be close to the fire and I'd like to help tend it. I'd like to take responsibility that that fire keeps going. And we'll have some people joining the church this month. I look forward to that. But this question applies to more than simply this image. This question applies more than to something as simple as church membership. It applies to living. It applies to my living and yours. What are we going to do about the fire of life? What's our relationship to it? There may be times in life where we're pretty distant from the fire. We feel a kind of coldness or a low energy of life. There may be times in life where we actually have too much fire. There's too much anger, or there's too much bitterness, there's too much chaos. Our fire, as we know from forest fires, even after the fire, there's a new birth of life, a phoenix reality to how that process can be. So this morning I ask us to think about stewarding the fire. What is our relationship to the fire that we know as spirit? Too many examples in Scripture to talk about where spirit is presented in the image of fire. And what do we know about fire? What are the qualities of a campfire? Creates? Light. Creates? Heat. Yeah, it does something else really, really important I like. Smells good. I like that. Attraction, community. Ooh, even more. Cooks food, thank you. There it is. It transforms things. Enjoyment. All of that is part of this campfire image. And I encourage us to be with that in all the ways of spirit. How is your spirit? Is it like a campfire? How is your relationship with God, the evangelicals would say? Is it like a campfire? I learned this as a Boy Scout, I think. Fuel? Oxygen? Heat. Ignition. You got to get it started. And once it gets started, if it keeps all those things, it'll keep burning. And so there's all that metaphor you can play with. What are those elements? What are those elements that we need, that you need in particular? Personal and the social. Mixing in with this mystery of spirit, this long tradition we have. And so we have classes on Wednesday nights and other times where people are working on what's my path, what's happening for me, how is my spiritual life? Things like the Enneagram class that we just completed. And then coming up this month, we have a focus on justice issues, the social reality, talking about things like inequality and poverty, human trafficking, and the third Sunday, the 19th will be, or the 19th or Wednesday will be children and immigration. And so there's that social element and that personal element. And then something else. This coming together around spirit that I think goes back to stewardship. Coming together around a mystery. These mysteries that we sit with, our limitations as human beings, our limited lifespans, and yet this life that started 13 billion years ago and that, who knows, into the future. It's humbling, it's mysterious, and yet somehow our ancestors, and us too now in that tradition, want to say there's something about relating to that mystery that keeps us alive, that keeps us in the light of wisdom, that keeps us burning with passion for justice and for establishing a way together that leads to life. Remember, that's the old saying in Deuteronomy, choose life. There are ways that you can live, that you can try, but it probably won't help. It'll probably be painful, and it'll probably lead to trouble. And there are ways that lead in a different path. As Hannah preached a couple weeks ago, it's not always easy to know which is which. And we sit together as a community in that struggle, trying to discern which is which. We'll even try to do that by Tuesday. If you haven't voted already, you're being asked to make a decision. Which are the ways that lead to life and which are the ways that don't? What will be best for all of us as a society? What will be best from a place of faith and wanting to steward this ancient fire that we have been given? You'll be asked to make choices and to vote. I encourage you to vote, and I encourage you to hold that in mind. How can I steward this world best with my votes? So one piece I want to leave you with, because really this is an opening to this month, this campfire image will be here for us, is I want to leave you with that question. How is that fire in me? Am I living in a way to stoke that fire? Do I cut myself off from others? And that fire gets dimmer. In our campfire, is there enough room for everybody who needs access to this warmth? Are we using this campfire, this mission and ministry of church, to feed people? Are we letting people get close to the transforming nature of it? Is it alive enough that people are growing here, connections with others, and growing in our ability to move this world toward a better place? But because it keeps going back to this flame and calling me to that flame that's inside me, what am I doing with that? How is that? Am I helping that flame to grow? Am I inviting others into warmth? Whether that's about church membership or not, I love our community. I want to invite a lot of people here. But it's not just about us. It's about this kind of force in the world. So we have this beautiful, beautiful story. I like Eugene Peterson's translation here. It's a nice shift from the old translations we've heard. You, us, here, we are asked to be salt and light. They're ancient symbols of purity and good things in the ancient world. And so in our journey together, there's always that question of, what's keeping me from being that? The ancient story of the Israelites is being set free from bondage. That's a core story for us. What keeps you from being salt and light? What keeps us as a church from being... Now, I love vanilla. It's a great flavor. I choose it often. But let's borrow the social, colloquial use of that. There's a certain vanilla-ness that people will talk about. blandness or a boringness. Let's not be that as a church. Let's be salt. More importantly, to play into our image for this month, let's be light. Let's be the light that's warm and crackling and glowing. I see that happening here. I see that happening, and I get great joy out of it. I hope you do too. I hope you've noticed. And now it's time to make sure we are using that, leveraging that, if you will, to invite others in, but to invite others into this larger project of campfires all over the place. Making this a better world. Tuesday's one small opportunity to try to do that by voting. But I want you this month, as you think about what is your commitment to this community, what are you able to give of time, talent, and treasure, think of that also just in terms of the world. I hope this is a super place for you to live that out. If it isn't, tell us, because we've got to be doing something different. But it's so important that that be a faith perspective for all of us. That we are here to steward this fire. We are here to honor those who have gone before today. We'll do that in just a moment. And we are here to steward this fire so that these little dancers going around the table, that they have this fire burning for them and for their grandchildren and for the 7 generations. We are here to steward this fire so that all of creation doesn't suffer under the burden that it currently is from human ways of living. We are here to steward this fire because that's what there is. That's what this is. Dancing around the fire, feeling its warmth, enjoying the transformation that it is, and passing it on. This morning, Dia de los Muertos, gracias, I invite you to think about those who have gone before. Could be friends, family members, could be heroes of yours that still have an impact on your life. Write their name on a little to our campfire to honor them and to take strength from them, or wisdom, or whatever gift they're giving you, so that right now in your life you can remember and feel the power that is there for you to steward this flame, to steward life.